What's up, everybody? Today I want to talk about the LG G6, whether or not it's the phone for you, irrespective of the one feature that I couldn't care less about, but I'm going to talk the most about, and that's HDR, because I want to talk about why Samsung and LG are the first of what's like to be many to push a feature on a consumer that, one, doesn't really care about it because the general consumer couldn't even tell you what HDR is, and two, the people who do actually care about HDR care about it on their TV, but I'm not so sure they care about it on their phone. So let's get into it. So first things first, I really like this phone. Let's get that out of the way. I'm criticizing them on a marketing plan with HDR and how that's not a necessary feature, but everything about this phone is awesome. I love this phone. I can absolutely recommend it alongside the S8 or the iPhone. And really, what's great about this phone compared to those is it's already about $100 cheaper than either one of those. And as we know, the Samsung phone and the iPhone are going to outsell the LG. So they're inevitably going to have some deep price cuts, rebates, probably in a few months. And you can already get it with the Google Home, split that off, sell it, and save you some money there. So from a performance versus dollar standpoint, the LG G6 is going to hammer it home. It's got a great screen. It's got a pretty good battery life. I think a 3300 mAh on that. It's not as good as what I'm coming from, which was a Droid Turbo 2 that's got a massive battery, but all the phones that have been made recently with these Quad HD screens, they haven't really been mindful of battery size, so this is going to be on par with them. I don't really hammer my battery or my phone, but I use it pretty well throughout the day, and at the end of the day, I'm about 30 to 40% when I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I think that's pretty reasonable, especially since this has got the quick charging feature that almost all of them are going to have these days. The camera on this, the dual camera, is really great. It seems kind of like a gimmick at first, and we've seen them on other phones, not just the LG, and you think, okay, dual camera system on a phone, but it really does enable you to get a wider shot, and sometimes you're used to doing the stitching of the panoramic shot, and you may not even need that with something like this. Both cameras produce really great images. The front-facing camera for selfies is, it's okay, but that's pretty much going to be par for the course on every phone. Finally, about this phone in terms of features, I love the form factor. They've got an 18:9 screen, which will give you the bars on the side on most videos that you watch, but it is a nice large screen. Even though it's a bigger screen than most, the form factor is great. It fits in your hand pretty well because the bezels are so small. They've got this weird curved thing that actually works well to minimize the size of the bezels. And I'm talking about curved around the actual screen, not around the sides like the Samsung. So, all in all, great phone. If you're looking for the features that actually matter, I put it up there with anything else out there. Yes, the Samsung has the Snapdragon 835, and this one's got the 821, but it's going to be plenty fast enough, plenty performance for anything that you're going to need. I think at that point, 821 versus 835, you're picking nits if that's going to be a deciding factor. All right, so let's talk about this HDR feature for a minute. Yes, these phones are HDR capable. Yes, they're Dolby Vision capable, and that tech is astounding. It's awesome. I'm not slamming the tech as much as I'm slamming the fact that this is great technology for your TV, not for your phone. And beyond that, I've had a hell of a time getting any kind of content on this phone that will actually utilize the display capabilities in HDR. We've already heard that Netflix has said that, yeah, they're going to support the Galaxy S8 at some point, but not necessarily at launch. So the content is rolling in a little bit for TVs. It's even that much further behind for cell phones. So also, let's think about the kind of person who actually cares about HDR, because we all know most general consumers couldn't tell the difference between HDR, SDR, or 4K and 1080p. They don't really care, and they shouldn't have to. If it's not a hobby of yours or something you're really into, you're not going to really know what it is yet. And for the people who do know what it is, they've got a nice TV to watch it on. They've got a theater room to watch it on. Let's think about where you are most of the time when you're watching movies on your phone. You're watching them on your phone because you are in a place where you aren't near your main display. You're either outside, it's going to be washed out. You don't have great Wi-Fi or internet connection, so it's not going to be fast enough to get any kind of resolution. Or it's some compressed video like on Facebook or Instagram, or even my crappy video here on YouTube that doesn't have any HDR on it either. So not only is it a form factor issue, but it's also a content issue, and we need to keep that in mind. It frustrates me when electronics manufacturers push features on consumers in an attempt to distinguish themselves instead of just touting the things that they do well. Think about like 3D on TV. I know there's 8 of you out there that actually care about 3D on TV, but for the rest of us, they don't even make it anymore. Curved TVs, again, some people love them, but most people don't. Most people see it as a gimmick. And HDR not only is kind of a gimmick on your phone, in my opinion, some of you might disagree, but it's something that is being touted and having marketing dollars spent on it in lieu of what they should be doing, and that's talking about how awesome the screen is in general, how great the phone is to use and hold in your hand, and fingerprint reader, and awesome camera, and dual camera, and all these things. So my frustration isn't with the phone itself, it's with how they're pitching this feature, because I think the industry is so far behind on codecs and content and all of that, that even when they get there, it's not even going to matter, because you're going to watch a crappy Facebook video outside with your colors washed out. All right, so I want to walk you through what's currently the biggest problem facing HDR on the phones, and there's just no content. This phone has the VP9 codec capable of playing back YouTube HDR content, but I've had such a hard time getting any resolution above 720 on this phone, even with a really fast internet connection. No, it's not a requirement that you have 4K to get HDR content, but it does help if you can couple the resolution with the colors to get the full experience. We already know that Netflix isn't going to do HDR yet, or isn't capable of HDR yet for either the Samsung or the LG. They said it's coming, but it's not here yet, so it's a feature that consumers aren't going to be able to use out of the box. So something that your average consumer isn't going to do, I went ahead and tried to do anyway, just to see if I could get something to play, and that was to pop over to hdrsamples.com and play one of their files, and it would not play. So then we have some sort of issue between the actual files themselves and being able to play them back on the phone. So hopefully they get this sorted out soon, but if you're like me, it doesn't really matter anyway, because this isn't a feature that really matters on a phone at this point, or at any point, because of the size and the environments that you're going to use the phone in. So you're better off enjoying the phone for what it is, instead of chasing features that at the end of the day really aren't going to have an impact to you as a user. Alright, so let's wrap this thing up. The LG G6, for someone who's looking for a modern flagship phone, is going to check all the boxes. It really is. And it's not going to do that with a lot of compromises either. It's worth the money, I think. Well, really no phone's worth the money, but at that price point, it's really competitive. And it's going to undersell the Samsung and the iPhone at a pretty considerable clip, which means in a few months, they're going to run around to rebates, and you're going to be able to get a great phone for a pretty good discount. It's a good deal right now compared to its competition. So if you can hang on to your phone for the next 2 or 3 months, man, you need to run out and get one of these when they do their first round of rebates. And if you're looking for a phone right now, I would probably recommend it over the S8, even though the S8's a great phone. It might blow your hand off. But just in a heads-up situation, it's a little bit cheaper, even without getting the Google Home that you could sell and get a discount on. So that about wraps it up for this one. Again, good phone. Just don't buy a phone for gimmick features. Buy a phone for the reasons why you should buy a phone. So let me know in the comments what you think, because I'm sure some of you are going to disagree with me, and I want to hear. If you think HDR on a phone matters, let me know. I want to hear. I'd love for you to prove me wrong. And for those of you who agree with me, let me know again what you think about LG and Samsung pushing this HDR feature on the consumer. If you liked the video, how about a like? And if you loved it, how about a subscribe? Thanks so much, y'all.